Today, I will be talking about the most important part of the coding, conditionals and looping. I type in a password that is incorrect and it says login failed. But if I type in a correct exact password, success. Why does this work? How does it know if I am correct? In the last episode of Simplified, we were talking about Boolean, which is related to the conditionals. If the conditions are met, then it becomes true. Otherwise, it becomes false. In addition to this, we will also be talking about looping, which makes it possible to iterate and makes most games possible. Here's the code of the program from the intro. As you can see below the form 1, we are declaring the password as admin123 in the form of string. Below that is the function. Inside the function, in btn underscore login underscore click, we have if password equals tb underscore password dot text. With this condition, we are checking if the input that is typed in the text box is the same as the password that is written. It will say login successful. If not, it will say login failed. I've made another program that uses conditionals. It uses if, else, else if conditionals. As you can see here from the video, it returns a result after checking the number. This code should be easy to understand. We have button test click. When the button is clicked, we declare the value from the input text box. Then, we check if the value is more than 0, then it will say number is more than 0 on the label result, or value is equals to 0, then it will say number is exactly 0 on the label result, or value is less than 0, number is less than 0 on the label result. Otherwise, if in some way none of the conditions above apply, then it will say invalid value. Now that I've explained conditionals, let's move on to the looping. When I print hello, it will say hello 1 times. But how do we repeat it? That's where the looping comes in. So I will edit this code and adding a for loop. With this, it will loop this code 5 times. So if we press play, it looped 5 times. So that is the example of a for loop in Python. I will show another example in JavaScript. This may be a little confusing to read, but I will make it easy for you to understand and separate it into pieces so I can explain it one by one. We have let I equal 0. This declares I as 0, which we will be using for counting. I is less than times. We will be using this if I is still below the amount of times, otherwise it will stop this loop. And lastly, I++. This will increment the I by 1. Every time it loops, it will add 1 because of I++. And here's the loop structure. For initialization, condition, update, and then inside it is the expression, which will happen every loop. We can create the same code without for loop, but that would be inefficient. Here's an example without the for loop. This is how it should look like. As you can see from this loop, I have created through a series of numbers and multiply each number by 3. With the variable of by equals 3 and variable times equals 20, which would end by 20 loops, you can see that it is iterating through each number from 0 to 19. And not 20 because it ends at 20 and does not go further from there. I want you to look at this code and then look at this example. These are the names that are written from the code. If you are aware of list and or arrays, this is what it looks like. We get from each of these values and then do an expression for each of these names. I will explain while loop. The expression inside the while loop keeps repeating until the condition is no longer met, which will end the loop. As you can see from the condition, it will stop counting if the count is no longer less than times. Here is what it should normally look like without the looping. And then here it is done in action. Thank you for watching my video. If you want me to make more of this content, then like this video. And if you want to support, please subscribe and comment on what you think I should do to improve this channel. It took me more time than expected to make this video. I may not be able to keep up with a weekly schedule or two, but I will try to upload every now and then. I am still practicing and trying out new stuff to use with making content. And at some point, I will tackle into some of the more advanced stuff.